I will give him credit there. But 10:30 a.m. John Ramsey goes missing for at least an hour. He said he was picking up the mail, but this was proved to be completely false because they had a mail slot in the door. So they did not own a mailbox. So there was no walk to the mailbox.
Was he picking stuff up at a P.O. box at the post office?
No. They did not have a P.O. box. They had a slot in the fucking door. So
excuse me while I go check the mail.
Yeah, and he was gone for at least an hour, it says, but...
Maybe he was pooping.
He could have been pooping, and he was really embarrassed. I mean, he's a pretentious douchebag that named his daughter after himself, so... Wouldn't put it past him.
Doesn't say narcissist at all.
Fucking shithead. Alright, so... 1:05 p.m. Authorities tell John to search the rest of the house again. And him and Fleet go directly downstairs.
Why the fuck didn't the police search the whole fucking house first? Like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
They thought it was a kidnapping, so they didn't. Now, they should have. Police protocol says that you're supposed to. You're supposed to secure the crime scene, and you're supposed to search the whole house. And they didn't. Now, Fleet is a family friend, okay? And I could imagine him wanting to go look for Jonbenet with him. But they went directly downstairs, went directly to where Jonbenet was found. It was a wine cellar that was on the back end of the boiler room. So you had to go through the boiler room after you came downstairs, open another door, and then that's where she was. So, but yeah, they went downstairs right away. Like I said, they found Jonbenet's body, which was in the wine cellar. She had a skull fracture, and back up. When he walked in the room and opened the door, reportedly, he opened the door and he said, "I found her." Now, she was covered with a blanket.
So how does he know for sure that he even found her?
How does he even know that there's a body there?
Right.
It looked like a pile of blankets. So, that was another suspicious thing. They found her. She had a skull fracture. She had a rope around her neck, more specifically a cord around her neck and hands. There was a garrote present, apparently used to strangle her.
Okay, so I'm no genius. What the hell is a garrote?
A garrote is basically you would take... Alright, a garrote, that's more of like a hitman term, honestly.
Okay.
What it is it's, you could take... Well, this one was fashioned from Patsy Ramsey's paintbrush from her arts and crafts bin that she had, and a skydiving cord. Apparently, it's the same type of rope used for skydiving. Now, she had bought this days later, and that's the only thing she bought at that store. So that's another suspicious thing about it.
She bought what at the store?
The cord.
Okay.
Yeah. But the cord, basically, to make a garrote, you would take... If you could imagine a paintbrush handle that's broken off, the bristles are all gone, and you just got a stick there. You wrap... I'm not telling you how to make a garrote just so you could go out and murder people. To make a garrote, what you do is you take any kind of stick or some implement like that, you wrap the cord around it, and you leave the long end still. You can stretch it out so that you put it around somebody's neck. Now, what you do is you wrap the other end around the paintbrush, and then you twist it.
Oh, dear God.
So you twist it until it tightens and tightens and tightens and tightens, so it gives you kind of leverage. And that's what they found around her neck, was that garrote.
Do not do this at home.
No, of course not. Don't David Carradine yourself. Fucking John immediately removed the duct tape from her mouth, and he kept it in his hand while he carried her up the stairs, contaminating the whole damn body. He carried her upstairs with the duct tape still in his hand. He set the duct tape on the couch, and then he laid her, I do believe...
Under the Christmas tree.
No, that's where she ended up. First, because they moved her twice. I think they laid her on the floor somewhere else, and then they laid her underneath the Christmas tree.
Why there?
I don't know.
What a weird spot.
But Patsy had to be told to come in the room. She should have heard everybody causing a commotion in the living room, but she apparently didn't, and didn't come out there until somebody told her to come into the living room. They had found Jonbenet in the basement. And she immediately did the most dramatic flop in the history of flops. And she just covered herself all over Jonbenet's body.
Threw herself on her dead daughter.
Further contaminating the body.
Oh my gosh.
All right, now 1:30 p.m., Ron Walker and Larry Mason arrived to search the basement. These are two more detectives.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So the police were still at the property when she was found?
Yes, but, okay, yeah, back up to when they found her. The FBI was also there, too. That's why there was detectives.
Where the hell were they? They should have been right there with him, with John and what's his nuts.
At that point, they didn't suspect him of anything.
Oh my gosh. But, as soon as they said you found her, so they should have been right there. So what?
Rich white guy.
Drop the ball.
3 words. Rich white guy. Okay? That's why they let him do that shit. I'm usually not like that. But in this situation, it's definitely, if this was not a rich white family, these people would be in jail.
Probably.
Most likely, if this is a middle-class family, they'd be in jail. But I digress. After this had happened, after they found her body, the FBI handed the case back over to the Colorado PD because it was no longer a kidnapping case. It was a murder, homicide, which... FBI does not have jurisdiction on that. If it's a kidnapping, it's a federal offense. If it's a murder, homicide, it's a state level offense. So they offered their services to the Colorado PD. They denied their services, which is not surprising because cops usually have a pretty big fucking ego and they don't want to. Especially FBI and local police, they're always kind of... It's a stupid political game. But, okay, now 1:30 p.m. Ron Walker and Larry Mason arrive and search the basement. These are 2 forensic investigators. They search the basement wine cellar for clues and finally secure the home from foot traffic. This is at 1:30 p.m. Now, this has been going on since 6 o'clock in the morning. So what is that? That's 5.5 hours that it took them to
finally secure the property. Yeah.
Finally secure the property.
That is bullshit.
And it's not like there was a shit ton of people there. There was probably 10 at the most. It's kind of ridiculous that it took that long, but they did secure it finally. 1:40 p.m. This is a very sticky situation here. John is overheard on his phone in the other room calling his pilot to get the plane ready for a business trip that he all of a sudden has to go on. Now, the Boulder police, one of the investigators heard this, went to his supervisor, told his supervisor what was going on, and immediately they told John, you cannot leave. If you do leave, you're going to look really bad, so you better not leave. This is really weird because if you remember, they were supposed to be going to Michigan.
Exactly, and who, okay...
So he's got a business trip now?
Right, okay, so if you just lost your daughter, I'm pretty sure you'd need to grieve. I'm pretty sure no business trip is more important than the loss of your daughter.
Exactly. Now, if it was something, the only reason I could see why that he'd have to do this would be because of the death of his daughter. He needs to address the other people in the company. But everything was local. There was no reason for him to get on a plane and leave at that point. This made him look extremely suspicious. All right, now 1:45. The Ramseys left anyway and went over to the Fernie's house, and they ended up staying the night there. So after being told not to leave by the Boulder, Colorado police, this is the first of many incidences where the Ramseys did not follow police orders. And like I said, rich white guy. They're just letting them go on everything here. It's ridiculous. 2:30 p.m., police interview Burke. He claimed he slept through the entire thing. And immediately after the authorities had talked to Burke, they advised John Ramsey to get a lawyer. Now, we don't know what was said during that, but I'm assuming the Colorado police got something out of Burke if immediately they tell John, you need a lawyer. So John goes out and he hires a family friend. He's got all these friends in high up places. Mike Bynum. December 27th, the county coroner finally declares Jonbenet Ramsey dead due to asphyxiation by strangulation. It is officially ruled a homicide Within the next couple days, they took blood and hair samples from John and Patsy Ramsey, and the authorities announced that the half-siblings were actually out of town, so they didn't even involve the half-siblings. One of them was already dead at this point. Elizabeth Ramsey died in a car crash in 1992. God rest her soul. December 31st, Jonbenet Ramsey is buried next to her half-sister Elizabeth, who had died in that car crash. January 1st, 1997, the Ramseys finally give their first interview, and it's not to the police, it's to CNN. And it's the very first interview that they give to really anybody about it, and it's on TV. So that's where we're going to stop with the timeline, and we're going to get into the investigation. Kim's going to go over the investigation here. The timeline already is a little screwed up, but once we get deeper and deeper into this, it's ridiculous. It gets even worse.
So on to the investigation. Starting on December 27th in 1996, hair and blood samples were finally taken from John and Patsy Ramsey. Within the next few days, the district attorney came out and said that the Ramseys were not guilty and to stay away from them because the DNA evidence found in Jonbenet's underwear. Originally, there were 1,600 people that were persons of interest. January 8th, 1997, Burke is interviewed by a social worker because of his sister's death. Burke says that in the interview that he has a secret and he can't tell anybody, and the social worker does not push him to tell a secret. He says that he feels safe at home and he doesn't seem too bothered at all by his sister being murdered. Early 1997, Lou Smith comes out of retirement to work on Jonbenet Ramsey's case. Eventually, he comes to the conclusion that it is an intruder that committed the act. April 27th, 1997, a $100,000 reward for info on the killer/killers or killers was offered to the public, denounced by John and Patsy Ramsey. April 28, 1997, District Attorney Alex Hunter gave the Ramseys all of the evidence, what had happened for the crime, per the Ramseys' demand. And this happened before their interview with police.
Yes, which is never done ever with anybody else. Rich white guy.
Exactly. April 30th, 1997, the Ramseys finally give an official statement to the Boulder County Justice Center. So after already knowing all of the details per the case, then they finally feel like it's necessary to give their statement.
Yes, this is months and months after. Months and months after. What's this? April 30th. With my fine notes here. April 30th.
Now we are on to May 20th. It was the fifth and final handwritten analysis done to Patsy Ramsey. The results of this analysis said that Patsy is more than likely the author of the note. July 9th, 1997.
One second. One thing I gotta say about the handwriting analysis, there were several of them done to Patsy Ramsey. Pretty much all of them came out to the same thing, that they could not rule her out. The last one that was done, the fifth one, said that she was most likely the writer, the author of the note.
Didn't you say something about a number she kept writing out?
Yes, in the ransom note, it asked for $118,000. Yeah, no, we'll get into it when we break down the evidence, but $118,000 is how much the ransom was for, which is just the same as John's bonus basically that year. $118,000 is what it said in the ransom note. And Patsy was told to write numerically $118,000. And she kept on longhanding it. She would literally spell out 100, like she was writing out a check. And she played dumb the whole time. Documentary that I watched where they interviewed Patsy Ramsey and they showed her handwriting samples of herself and the ransom note. And they looked a little shakier, like she was trying to hide her handwriting, which she didn't do a very good job. She was playing so dumb. They would show her an O, the letter O, and they would ask her what the similarities between the O on the left and the O on the right is. And she's like, well, nothing. One's bigger, and they both got a hole in them. And she'd be doing shit like that. So that's what I gotta say about that. Fucking guilty bitch. But
so, on to July 9th, 1997, the Ramseys decide to buy a new home in Atlanta, Georgia. And it looks like we skip ahead almost a full year. So we're at February 13th, 1998. District Attorney Alex Hunter, the Boulder County District. Okay. I'm just